Welcome back everyone to a new video. In this video we're going to be talking about a lot of things, as I have not posted since the start of Crucible League, and man, it has been a blast, I have to say. Really, the league's grown on me quite a bit. You know, at first I was kind of iffy about it, and it's gotten better and better as I've kind of learned a bit more about Crucible and such, and some changes have been implemented. It's still not like great by any means, like it's not like some earth-shattering league, right, where it's like, oh my god, this is the best thing ever, but there's definitely quite a bit of potential. And I've definitely been using that for a lot of different kinds of, you know, weapons, shields, etc. Just put them into Crucible and seeing what I get. In some cases, it's turned a hefty profit. In others, it's just been kind of a cool thing to see what I can get. On top of that as well, smashing things together seems to be pretty common as well, although I like the uniques to be a bit more common in terms of like smashing uniques together, because you're already deleting the uniques, so that'd be kind of cool to see. So hopefully they continue patching stuff, but you know, we'll see what we get. Anyway, so yeah, you know, first, what is it now, like 2 weeks or something that have Crucible gone by, and we now have our Mirror of Kalandra, which is excellent. Yeah, I'm gonna kind of talk about how we got there, what was our journey like. So yeah, I'm gonna go and get into it. So the first thing I did really is when approaching the league, or at least approaching new leagues, is I kind of like to think, you know, hey, you know, like what kind of Atlas strategies do I want to do off the bat? And as you can see, I've won a 6 out of 115, not even complete in terms of my Atlas. It's something I definitely want to do, but I have a decent amount of favorited map slots. And basically jumping over to the strategies and such, this is something that I've been doing recently, kind of testing out, and it's been feeling pretty good. But this isn't where I started, so I'm going to kind of overlay some footage now. I started out with Bone Shatter on the Juggernaut, and I kind of wanted to choose something that I was going to enjoy. Really, you're going to make money with whatever you choose, you just need to pick something to specialize in it. And I chose to do Essences off the bat. I want to do some Essence action, as I felt I'd be able to tank, you know, the higher damaging Essence abilities, attacks, etc. And I do like to enjoy using Essences. Another one is Harvest. I am really enjoyer of Harvest. As the thing is with Essences and Harvest, I can sell the juice or use the juice. Same with Essences, I can use it on items or sell it, which is really great. You can also combo the two together as well, and use it on the Harvest bench to like transform the Essences, etc. Blah blah blah, which is really cool. Anyway, so started out with that on the Bone Shatter. That worked really well. And what we did with a lot of that, and we'll snap back to kind of present time, is the thing is with Essences, and you'll see I still have a good amount, is I used it a lot essentially for making my own gear for my character, and then also as well, like making some just simple gear essentially all the way up to like kind of more, I put this in quotes, complicated gear, which is essentially just using the Essences on gear. And then essentially selling that to turn a profit. So I guess technically profit crafting, but the thing is as well is that I'd also try to make it useful for my build as well. So like an example would be, like if I was trying to craft like resistance and such like that on my gear, then I'd be using like Wrath Essences, right? But maybe on my base or something like that I'm hitting, I hit something really good that maybe I don't need, like it has too many resistances, if you will, right? Or too many stats, and I would just put that up and sell it, right? Because I'm like, hey, this is a god roll, I don't need this god roll, let me sell this off, right? And then there's also stuff as well where I'm like more specialized stuff here, right? Where I'm like, okay, you know, what am I going to do with these more expensive Essences, right? Which could be like, you know, crafting 3.5% crit chance on gloves or something like that, for example, right? Or doing like Socketed Gems deal 30% more elemental damage on helmets, right? Things like that. And kind of comboing this stuff together. Another one I was doing was dot multi-rings. Where is that at? It's one of these. Yeah, doing damage over time multiplier on rings, chaos damage, things like that. Jewelry overall felt pretty good, even doing stuff like, I kind of hovered over it, but like dex and strength and such, putting that on like belts, things like that. Again, basically just putting out different like niche items, etc. that people might want to buy, and it overall turned a very big profit. Because the thing is at the beginning of the league is that most people, and I'm kind of just sorting through here just some random stuff, I have stuff like flasks and random cluster jewels and all this stuff, right? I was going to say some random sex and stuff that I'm not using, just because of the fact that I was rolling essentially my own sextants to use and such. I can't sit down and do like the hundreds of sextants or whatever to like do that, you know, like the actual sextant rolling stuff that I was using for juicing. We'll get to that later. Yeah, as a whole, you know, just even putting these items up for like these amount of chaos, these have stayed like pretty stagnant. As you can see, like basically throughout like the, you know, throughout the whole league, I've just kind of kept it at that, and it's been fine, which is really nice. nice. So basically doing a lot of money there, and that helped a ton in the initial investment. So definitely a tree, and I will post a link to all the trees that I use basically, or like pretty close of like what I used. I'm talking like the Atlas tree, so you can follow along or try it for yourself. Because it doesn't really matter, like even if like people watch the video, it's still gonna like work just because like it's the Atlas, so it is what it is. Especially as well because besides the juicing strat, and I put that in quotes because like I really only like halfway went in because I'm too lazy to buy like the actual sextants and stuff, like, you know, in terms of like if I really want to like super optimize, like I was just kind of rolling stuff and having fun with it and testing out my builds because I enjoy testing out my builds and like understanding mechanics and trying to kind of do some different stuff rather than perfectly like min-max my juicing with like, you know, 100% delirium, like 50 billion, you know, delirium orbs with perfect sextants, you know, rolled from Chris Wilson himself. So anyway, that was strategy number 1. Now we're moving to kind of the second chapter of what we did. Alright, so chapter 2 of the journey basically went like this. I was like, hey, you know, Bone Shatter's doing pretty good and everything, but I want to try something a little bit different. And I ended up dropping the 4th Vow, which is a new chess piece this season. And I really wanted to make an RF build, so I'm going to overlay some RF footage now. Fully geared out, essentially what the character was, but I built up to it though over time. Wanted to invest a lot of money into it, etc. Right? But really built it differently, trying to work on 4th Vow's defenses, and man, it was crazy. Just the amount of content, different things I could do with it. And not even from like a damage perspective, although I was able to scale the damage eventually very high. It was much more a defensive perspective because I really want to explore the 4th Vow damage taken principle, right? Of like taking your elemental damage as chaos with divine flesh, having your armor apply to the chaos, etc. Right? And I know other people have kind of beaten me to the punch on those videos, but I started doing this a while back, basically like, geez, even I want to say a week ago, but then fully min-maxing it up to this point on the RF character, which has gone great. And the thing is about it is that like it's not great against like, you know, like an uber boss hitting you for like 1 billion damage, but it's really, really good for those high octane mapping scenarios or twisted invitations. I'm gonna show a twisted invitation of how funny it is because a lot of twisted, like, or I should say the bosses from the twisted have like a lot of minor attacks, you know, that are just kind of plinking off you like a lot. And that's where the 4th Vow becomes insane because you just mitigate all of it because you have like armor, actual armor, you have armor applied to your elemental or portion of it because you're Juggernaut, and then you have armor fully applied to your chaos, which again, portion of your elemental is taken as chaos. It's absolutely absurd. So min-maxed that out, which was huge, and that was overall a lot of fun. So yeah, really, really awesome there. And basically I did a whole bunch of content there, did some delirium stuff, jumped around, did some harvest with growing hordes, did some invitations as you just saw as well. So honestly, really, really solid, just kind of played around a bit, etc. And now we move on to part 3, which is how I finished off the mirror, essentially. Alright, so for my final strategy to finish off the mirror, this is what we used, and this is something that's still a work in progress, but I just kind of wanted to show it off, essentially, of like what's going on, you know, what I was using, etc. And this was on my Gyre character, my Venom Gyre character, and this essentially was for uber speed farming, if you will, just to try to get myself to the mirror. And I really, really enjoyed the playstyle. Can kind of show some footage here of it zipping through and such, and yeah, it's a beast. It was not nearly as good, though, as the RF character, for sure, because the RF character had a lot more optimizations and thought put into it. This was much more of, like, kind of put it together, and at least from a defensive side principle, I put like a good amount of thought into it, but offensive wise, it was good enough. And to be honest, I let Awakened Fork really do the job for me. Definitely could scale the damage higher, but for the content I was doing, I'd, you know, drop like a 60% Delirious map and just run through it. And that was perfect. And again, in terms of the tree, here's what we got going. We have a lot of stuff blocked, as you notice, and generally for the other strategy as well as blocking quite a bit of stuff because I really want to focus on like what I want to do, right? So I enjoyed the blocking. We have some Legion stuff, Legion, you know, lots of Legion stuff here. And funny enough, we don't actually run Legion Scarabs or anything. Notice we have growing hordes. I really enjoyed this actually, because the high pack size, I found a lot of Divine Orbs with this, because you just have so many monsters in your map, so I was like, raw drop Divine, just happening over and over quite a bit. And couple that essentially with some decently steady income with like Remnants of the Past, Conquered Conquerors, and then of course the Delirium, which we'll talk in a second. It was overall very, very solid. In my map device, I don't have anything in here, but we do have some leftover Scarabs, as you can see, and I still have them because I'm going to continue doing this, I think, is Rusted Shaper Scarabs, because these are super cheap, and essentially you shove them in, to your map, and that activates growing hordes, which gives you all the extra pack size because you can duplicate them. So like you can have like 40, you can put them in separate stacks, if you will. Like I'll kind of show you what I mean by that, and they will all activate. So if I go like this, these will all activate the same scarab. So you don't need to have different scarabs, which is amazing. So you gain like 20% pack size, doubles the pack size of your map easily, and you are cooking and booking, which is fantastic. So basically ran through that, and that was awesome. Getting delirium reward types, all this stuff, right? Oh, and I'll go over the tree, but I'll talk about the orbs I used and why. Lots of delirium stuff here, Searing Exarch altars, etc. Because Awakened Sextons are a little out of control in terms of pricing. So farming those up as well. And then yeah, just a ton of other stuff. Again, I should get more points really, like on my Atlas, because my Atlas is 106 out of 115, and that would look a lot better of a tree, but you know, just for what I enjoy doing, it's good enough. But let's talk quickly about the orbs. Let me see if I have any left. So we have these cartographer orbs. I have one singular one left. I was binding these in bulk for quite a bit. And the thing is, what cartographers do is they drop a lot of maps. Now here's the thing about maps. Let's jump into our map tab real quick. So this is the remnants of lots of maps being farmed. Not in terms of like, you know, what I have now is I've sold off a lot of maps. Was doing this all throughout the league, just boom, 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 just selling the heck out of these maps. Because maps themselves are actually very, very valuable. Like you can get like Vol temples selling in bulk, right? For quite a bit. You can get all of these influence maps selling for bulk, which again, by the way, they drop. So the daily orbs drop all these influence stuff. So you just end up making complete bank. It's kind of crazy. And so yeah, everything here, even the whites and the yellows will sell. And yeah, it's just very, very chill. Like you just walk out a map with like just tons of money each time. And yeah. That was about it. I roll my own sextants as well because I was just like, I didn't have the time to buy them, right? Like I didn't even do enduring influence or anything. I literally just slapped them on and said, let's do it, right? So basically just did that out, and that's really about it. The reason why I separated myself kind of into 3 chapters over for the leagues, because I like to keep the game fresh, try different strats. As if I just do something like all the way to a mirror or something like that, that's too much for me. I did that back in Archnem League with like simulacrums, from like 2 mirrors and simulacrum. Was not worth. I know it's a lot of money to think about, like 2 mirrors, but the problem is that like you're, you know, doing simulacrum for a bit was fun and upgrading my character, sure, but to grind out those 2 mirrors, like I would never do that again because I need to move around, I need to try new strategies, etc. So that's just something to keep in mind. So anyway, that's the overall journey of the league. That's how we got to the mirror. And finally, to end it off, basically the video is talking about builds. Because I know people talk about builds, etc. So if you're not interested in builds and stuff like that on my channel, you can dip now. This is the end of the video, all good. But for those who want to stick around, here's basically the dealio. So the dealio is that essentially as of this video posting, this current Venomgyre character will be up for sale that I have been using to essentially farm on this content, and essentially now is the time of the creation builds. You'll probably see Venomgyre, you will probably see my RF character as well. You will probably see maybe some instack in the future, maybe some tornado shot. I don't really know. Like those are some old classics because I do want to bring those out essentially that I make builds on, but also I really want to experiment with some new stuff. I'm not going to do the totem stuff, or at least if I do, it's not going to be for a really long time just because I think there's enough coverage on that stuff. So really gonna be digging around, finding some fan favorites and such like that people enjoy, but then also as well branching out and trying some new builds because there's seriously a lot of creativity in this league, and I really want to take advantage of that. A good example of that is my RF build in terms of doing content and such. So that's the dealio. These videos will be coming out because I haven't been pinged on Discord, YouTube, all that stuff, like, you know, when are the builds coming out, you know? And yeah, I'm gonna start hopping around, re-rolling, and that's my idea, is to re-roll off this character, not because I enjoy it, but it's just time for something new, right? It's been a blast and such, and yeah, thanks all for watching. That's the dealio, and yeah, again, see you in the next one. Peace.